Hi everyone, I'm Allie with this Potomac Bee Company, and what I'm going to show you today is how to play around with some of the two-hole bees. So this is just a simple earring that I've made, and we're going to make the other side to it. It's using the Rula beads, which are the two-hole tubular beads, and I'm using the jade color of those. And then I'm also using the Rizzo beads. The Rizzo beads are a little rice-shaped bead that has the hole right at the top. And for those, I'm using the aqua or the Emerald AB. And you're going to need 5 of those per earring. So you're going to need 10 of your Rizzo beads, and you're going to need 24 of your Rula beads. In addition to those, I'm using 15-0 seed beads. I'm using a size 10 English beading needle and .008 wildfire beading thread in white. You can use a different color and you can change this up, but just to let you know what I'm using. And then you're going to need 2 ear wires. Also optional, you could use 2 jump rings, but that's up to you. So to start out, what I've done is threaded my needle, and you're only going to use about 18 inches of thread per earring. So what I did for the first one was I cut about 32 inches of thread, so that way I didn't have to re-thread a needle. I'm just working off the same piece of thread. We're going to start by putting on 6 of our Rula beads, and they're going to be separated with a 15-0. So in between each Rula bead is going to go a 15-0 bead. And then I'm going to end with my 15-0 as well, because I started with my Rula. So the Rulas go on, and then the 15-0s go on right after them. After you have 6 on, we're going to get ready to round it out to get that rounded shape for our earring. So our 6 go on, finished with an 11-0 seed bead. And I'm going to take those down on my thread, down towards the very bottom. I just need to leave enough thread here that I can tie on or tie a knot to kind of close off the earring. What I'm going to do is leave about 2.5 to 3 inches of thread, and I'm going to take my needle in a circular motion. I'm trying to round this out. So I'm going to take my needle back through the first hole of the first Rula that I put on, as well as a 15-0, another Rula, another 15-0. And when I pull these tight here, it's going to get me my rounded shape. So I've gone back halfway through. I've gone back through 4 of my Rula beads and 3 of my 15-0s that were between them. I'm going to let that tail hang out because I do want that to tie. I don't want to tie it tight because sometimes this does need a little bit of help to relax a little bit. So I'm not going to tie the knot tight. I'm just going to hold that little tail there. To add my next beads, I'm taking my needle through the same Rula that I'm coming out of. So my thread is coming out of the bottom hole of a Rula. I'm going to take it to the top hole of that same Rula, going in the opposite direction. You will see the thread showing and exposed on the side of the Rula there. Don't worry about that, you won't see it too much. Now we're going to add our second row of our Rulas. In between those Rulas, we're going to put a 15-0 on either side. 15-0 goes on, a Rula goes on, and a 15-0 goes on. I'm going to skip to the next Rula and go through the top hole and pull nice and tight. That's going to add my next row on. I'm going to continue doing that, adding a 15-0, a Rula, a 15-0, the whole way around my project. And I'm just going to sew through and keep it going the whole way around. If you notice that your tail is getting a little loose, you could have used a stop bead, or I just give it a nice little tight pull. But I'm going to continue doing that the whole way around till I get to the very beginning of where I put on my first Rula of that second row. So I'm getting ready to add my last Rula bead here, and that will eliminate your Rula beads because that uses all of those 12 Rulas. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go through that last one in line, and I'm also going to go through the 15-0 and the Rula that were the first ones that I put on in this second row. So again, I put on my 15, my Rula 15, went back through the original Rula, back through a 15, and back through the first Rula that I added when I started my second row. Just like I did for the first row, I'm going to take my needle back through that same Rula that my thread's coming out of in the opposite direction. Again, what I will see is a little bit of that thread bridge there on the side. Give a nice tight yank, and we're going to start with our earring here with our little drop down portion. So in between the rulas, I'm going to add 7 of my 15O beads. So I'm going to start here on the side. I'm adding 15 of my 15O beads, or 7 of my 15O beads, sorry. The 7 beads go on, and then I sew through the top hole of the next rula and bring my needle down. Next, I'm going to do 3 15Os, 1 of my Rizzo beads, and 1 15O. Sew through the next hole on the next rula in line. That's going to get that little side fringe there. You can, if you want to dress it up a little bit more, add more of the rula or more of the Rizzos. You can use teardrops, you can use different beads, but the Rizzos are a new shape, so I just kind of have been liking to play with them. Next goes on 3 of my Rizzos with 15O beads between them and before them. So I'm going to do a 15O, a Rizzo, 15O. I'm going to do 3 of those patterns. Get 3 of them on my needle. Again, starting and ending with the 15Os. I'm going to sew through the next hole of my rula bead. Give it a nice tight yank. And that's going to get my little fringe that is going to hang down on my earrings. The next one I'm going to repeat this first one that I did. On goes the 15O. On goes one of my Rizzos. And then 3 more 15Os. Back through the next hole of the next rula. And give it a nice tight little pull. Again, the distance between the rulas here, I'm going to do 7 of my 15O beads that are going onto my needle. And I'm sewing through the next hole. To make my bridge at the top here, I'm going to use another 7 beads. So another 7 of my 15Os. After those 7 beads go on my needle, I'm sewing back through, and I turn to the side just so I can have it here. I'm going back through the last rula that's in line here, and I'm going to also go back through those first original 7 15O beads. So my needle is going to come the whole way down along my project. And that's going to round out my entire little earring here. In addition to coming out here, I want to make my thread end in the middle, and that way you won't be able to see it. I'm going to go through the next rula in line, and I'm going to go down the side of the rula as well. So again, I'm going to have a little bit of thread stuck out. After I go through that, I'm picking up a 15, going through the next rula. So I'm just kind of snaking back along the earring. I'm going to drop down to that first hole of the rula. And that way I'm coming out in the middle. I'm going to reinforce the whole middle by going through with my needle and thread. Going through those 15s and going through that first hole of the Rizzo beads. That's just going to tighten up that middle a little bit. When I get to the point that my threads are meeting, I'm going to bring them to the same side, take my needle off my thread so I don't poke myself, and I'm just going to tie 2 square knots in my thread. This is going to help to finish it out and make it nice and tight. You won't see the knots if you pull them nice and tight. And then you can take your burner, or you can take a little bit of glue, and you can glue those knots there nice and tight. I'm just going to clip them for our point in the video here. Normally I would do a little glue and then burn that down. There's my other earring. And all I'm going to do to attach my ear wire is I have a regular ear wire. I'm just going to open it up a little bit, put it on that top bridge there of my 15Os, and I'll be done with my earring. And I'll have 2 little nice earrings that I can wear in that jade color of the Rula beads, and also working with those Rizzos as well. Again, you can use super duos for these. You can use drops in place of the Rizzo beads, but have fun with those 2-hole beads. They're really easy to work with. Keep in mind, a good easy way is to kind of go back through that top hole in the bridge like I did between the sections, and make a pair, wear them, make a couple pairs, and they're good little statement earrings that go really quickly and that you can make in a matter of a couple minutes. So thanks for watching. Check out our other videos if you need some help with the thread sizes or the needle sizes or bead sizes or even bead types. You want to know what you can use. And like us on Facebook, and hopefully you get a chance to visit one of our stores. So thanks for watching.